Oh man, oh man, oh man. You guys knew I couldn't put down Mekk Knight Invoked. What's going on, you guys? Slim here to bring you guys my updated Mekk Knight Invoked deck profile for the October 2019 ban list. This is a deck similar to Thunder Dragons that this channel is known for. We're definitely a huge advocate of Thunder Dragons. I think we're also a huge advocate of Mekk Knight Invoked. This and Thunder are probably like my most requested and probably my most loved deck profiles by you guys, and I really do appreciate it. This is just a new version of the deck. I say newish, there are some new cards in it, so there's some changes I've made to it, and I really do like it. I got inspiration from a lot of lists I've been looking at. I got inspiration from my brother Johnny, who almost topped the YCS. You know, he made it to day 2 with Mekk Knight, Orcus, Dangers, like all this stuff, and you know, I took like some ratio ideas from there, and just some stuff that I've been testing just in and out. I'm always messing with this deck. This is like my fun deck, my play deck that I always come back to because it's like Old Faithful, and it's just a deck similar to Thunder that I just can never put down. I will get into it. For those who are new here, consider subscribing, hit that like button if you enjoyed the deck profile. And again, this is just one of the first versions for the new format. Every format the deck is going to change a little bit here and there, and I always love to hear your guys' suggestions. So yeah, we will get into it. Shout out to Richard, he's the best. We will get into it for the new ban list. So for the monsters, of course, 3 Alistair. Don't need to explain that. Heart and Soul of the deck. 1 card combo, pretty nice. For the Mekk Knights, we've got, it's the standard lineup we've always had, triple purple, double blue, and 1 indigo. I didn't add red or yellow this time. I thought about it. I actually thought about testing yellow. The reason is I feel that there's going to be a lot of more back row decks. I feel that the back row decks were like completely unaffected by the ban list, and for that reason, I think a lot more people are going to be playing those decks, especially if they picked up copies of Pot of Extravagance, you know, decks like Subterra, Altergeist, you know, just those back row decks, those stunny decks. I've seen a lot of them, actually, a lot more than I expected to see when the format started. But yeah, so this is just standard. I feel like you don't need any other Mekk Knights right now. The only one, like I said, I would think about is possibly playing yellow, only because it does pop a back row. It is also level 8, which is pretty cool. I think that's actually a really cool thing that a lot of people don't take away from this deck, is there's level 8s in this deck, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, I really like that. So that's it for the Invoked and the Mekk Knights, and then on to the hand traps. So the hand traps, this was, believe it or not, the hardest part of this deck. Now usually it's not that hard. I really had to think about, okay, what hand traps do I want? What hand traps are going to serve the best purpose in this deck? Keep the deck at a clean 40 and just make it so that, you know, I see what I want to see and not, you know, draw cards I don't want to draw. So I chose what I feel are the best hand traps. Now this could be basically, I'll leave it up to you guys if you think I made the right selection. But yeah, I went with Triple Ash, Triple Phantasme, Triple Nibiru, and of course Triple Impermanence. So these are the hand traps I chose, and the reason is Ash is still, in my opinion, the most generic hand trap. You're going to be able to Ash something at every point of the game. It also helps you make Purgatrio. Now I know you can make the argument that, you know, you can just make All Mirage, link All Mirage off, and there's your Purgatrio. That's very true. But a lot of times having Ash is great. Like being able to Ash just certain things is amazing. Like you'd be surprised how far you can get with Ash. It's just good against just general things. Like you can Ash the Hidden City. You can Ash the card of Demise when you're playing against True Dracos. You can, you know, Ash so many different things. There's plenty of cards to Ash against Thunder, plenty of cards to Ash against Orcus. There's a lot of cards you can Ash. So I felt that Ash was just, you know, still generic, still probably the best hand trap. Pretty much every striker deck and every deck that is top so far is still playing it because the card is just that good. It's that generic that you want to see it. Phantasme, I've been a huge advocate of this card for so long. I still am. I feel like it fixes your bad hands, makes them better, puts a body on board, which gets you closer to Boral Sword and just be able to OTK your opponent, just overwhelm your opponent. I feel that this card is just a staple in almost every deck that can play it. I know it's got a hefty price tag. It didn't get its reprint, which I feel is ridiculous. I think it should have gotten its reprint, but I digress. Again, it's one of the cards I said you guys should have invested in for sure. Nibiru is Nibiru. It's the rock. There's so many decks it's so good against. Orcus for 1, Salamangreat for 2. Like those 2 decks are definitely going to be heavily represented. It's so good against those decks. Any Wombo combo decks just died in Nibiru. Nibiru is insane. They always say put your opponent on better have it. Well, this deck main decks it, so we better have it. So I really like this card. And Impermanence to me is still one of the best hand traps in general. I think that this card is just, I think it's good every format because it's just a better Veiler. It just being able to, you know, stop something during your opponent's turn, stop something on your turn is nuts. Be it the column placement sometimes comes up. The fact that you can just Impermanence a Colossus and then just search the Mekk Knights is insane. So I'm a huge fan of all these hand traps. I feel that this was the best hand trap lineup I could come up with. I tested Gamma, I tested Ogre, I tested all these different hand traps, and at the end of the day, these are the ones I chose because I felt that they were the most generic. They were the best ones that would just get me out of every situation. Phantasme could fix my hand, Nibiru could clear a board, Impermanence could hit almost anything. Best hand trap against the Lunalight Orcus when they make Azathoth and Nyarla, at least like you still have this, and Ash just being the most generic. So that's why I played all these hand traps. And we do play Kaliga, so this does come up with the darks. We do play Purgatrio, and of course, for those of you who didn't know, Nibiru's a light, so who would have known? It's a perfect thing for Mekk. And that was it for the monsters. On to the spells. Like I said, I'm really happy with the hand trap lineup. I got, of course, the 3 Meltdown. Play 3 copies of Invocation. You guys will see why when you see the rest of the spells. We are playing Desires. Just want to see this card. Don't play Book of the Law. I feel like the card really, like, I used to love the card to death, but I feel it really just doesn't do anything anymore. I feel like it's often more dead than it is live, so I'd rather just play Invocation, especially if they stop Alistair and just have the Invocation in hand. You just really outplay your opponent that way. Then, of course, 3 Mind Control and 3 Super Poly. I feel this is the reason why this deck is insane. You're playing 3 Super Poly and 3 Mind Control in the same deck. Your opponent, you just break every board. Like, you break every freaking board with this deck, and I think that's what I absolutely love about this deck. Mind Control has been one of my favorite spells forever. They put Super Poly back to 3. I don't know. These are the reasons to play the deck. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, going second, these cards are just absolutely insane. You just break every single board, and yeah, that's why I think this deck is still great. I think a lot of people just don't give this deck enough credit, but I mean, when you can play cards like this, like, how is this deck not a contender in probably every format? And I play 2 copies of Desires. I didn't play 3. I didn't want to play 3 of it because I don't want to open more than 1. I don't want to draw into another one. 2 was a perfect number. We kept the deck in an even 40, and I really like Desires because it helps you dig. You play a lot of 3 of, so it helps you dig, and just getting that plus is just really important in this deck. Plus, you can also set it, summon your Mekk Knights, and then activate it, so it's great. 2 copies of Instant Fusion. Again, another card I didn't want to play 3 of. I feel that this card is fine at 2 in this deck. Just being able to summon Thousand Eyes or summon Kaliga or anything like that is just great. Just get your things going, especially with Thousand Eyes Restrict, it creates a column, so I really like it. And then the new edition was 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. So it took me a while to decide what I wanted to play. I've been testing Galaxy Cyclone as well, because I saw the Pure Mekk Knight list that is topped pretty much, I believe it was twice. It topped Dallas, it topped the PPG, all these things. And I know he was playing Galaxy Cyclone, and that's something I actually do want to test. I just don't actually have that card. Cosmic Cyclone was something I wanted to play because I felt that it was still really good against Striker, really good against Orcus, just being able to bait out the Crescendo, being able to, just banish the multi-roll forever, just all these things. I think this card is really good. Plus, this card's really good against Lunalight Orcus, just being able to hit the, what is that thing? The Monster Born guy, whatever it is. But yeah, the card is just really good. I like it a lot. The only thing that I see that's wrong with it is just not being able to, it being not normal. Normal spell kind of sucks, but I mean, other than that, it's still really good. Just getting rid of problematic back row and banishing it is important, especially against Draco too. So covers all your bases. I really like it. And the 40th card is Terraforming, because of course we just want to see more copies of Meltdown because it equals more copies of Alistair. So yeah, that is actually 40 cards, you guys. I've always played above 40, but I actually wanted to try it at 40 for the first version. You guys can, test this out and see what you guys think if it's more consistent at 40. I've been noticing it is a lot more consistent for me because I'm not, I'm not drawing like dead cards. Like, I'm just seeing pretty much everything I want to see, and having multiple hand traps is fine because I can just, stall it out, use my hand traps, and then just go off. So it's really solid. So yeah, that was it. 40 cards in the main deck, and then just on to the extra deck real quick. So for the Invoked, we have 2 copies of Mekk, 1 Purgatrio, 1 Kaliga. So 2 Mekk has been standard for I don't know how long. The 3rd has never come up. I'll be honest, sometimes 2 doesn't even come up. I know Johnny, I think, only played 1. I can see why. Like, he was playing the Orcus engine. This was, of course, before Mermaid got banned. And the thing with Mekk is that, like, I feel like 1 will come up every game. 2 just really only comes up if you have a grind game. But one thing with this deck is you really shouldn't have a grind game. You blind second, you just start taking all your opponent's stuff with Mind Control and Super Poly, you just clear the board, you just, they do improper column placement, and you just punish them for it, and you just win because of it. So I feel that while having the 2 Mekk is nice, sometimes it's not necessary. However, it does come up with Mad Invoker to make a second one sometimes, so I just left it in there for that reason. 1 Purgatrio, because this card is usually game. You can do it with All Mirage, you can do it with Ash, you can do it with your opponent's Solomon Great Monsters, Inferno Monsters, etc. This card is pretty nice. And then Kaliga is something I haven't played in a really long time, but I really do like this card. It also being an instant fusion target is nice. For those of you that don't know, its effect is if a player's monster effect attempts to activate, none of that player's monsters can activate their effects for the rest of this turn while this card is faced upon the field. So that basically just, they have 1 monster effect. You have Mekk and that, like, you just negate the monster effect, and they can't use monster effects for the rest of the turn. It's pretty much just game. And then each player can attack with only 1 monster during each battle phase. That's fine. You just attack with your biggest monster. You can leave this in defense, keep it protected, and yeah, they have a really hard time getting around this card. So this card in testing has been really good. I have, you know, the Phantasme is also being able to banish an Orcus monster since they're all dark is really nice too. I feel that because Orcus is such a prevalent deck that it's important to actually play this card now, because by itself it gives you another good invocation card to banish. So that's it for the Invoke monsters. And then for the Instant Fusion target, I got just Thousand Eyes Restrict. I didn't play Raijin. I felt that this card was enough. I also didn't play Link Kuriboh just because I'm just going to use this, make a column, and then I'm just going to link away into stuff, so it was fine. I liked it like that. And then I just play the Super Poly target gets 1 Starving Venom, 1 Dragostapelia, and 1 Violet Chimera. You guys already know this is for Dark decks, this is for Thunder Dragons, and this is also for Pendulums, and then this is for Salamangreat. They've all come up in testing. All the decks are still played in this format, so I feel these are the best ones. The only other one I considered was Mud Dragon of the Swamp. However, in my testing, in my personal testing, it just hasn't come up. I don't know if you guys can say the same. Just for me, the card has not come up. I don't know. It's weird. It just never really came up for me. These were the ones that came up for me, and these are the ones I'm going to keep playing. So yeah. So there's that, and then just the Link monsters, of course. When all Mirage, this card is nuts. Summon Alistair, link it off into this. Look, what do you know? You got a column. You link this away. Oh look, there's Purgatrio. It's pretty nice. 1 best link in the deck. This card is still nuts. This card is so easy to make. You just do it with a Mekk Knight and Alistair. You do it with any monster you steal from your opponent in Alistair or something, and it's insane. So I really like Mad Invoker. Even though we're not playing Book of the Law, you just search another invocation, you just go off. This card is also Alistair in the grave and on the field. A lot of people don't read that, and yeah, it's broken, so I really like this card. And then just generic links, I play the 1 Phoenix and the 1 Unicorn. These cards are just good utility cards. I'm not playing another generic link too, because honestly it just doesn't come up that much. I feel like I was thinking about playing Lambda, and then I just realized like it just really doesn't come up that much. I'm usually making all Mirage with Alistair. I'm making the Mad Invoker most of the time, and then I'm usually like link climbing from Phoenix and a Unicorn and just doing a bunch of stuff, and usually just winning the game from that with my mind controls and super polys. So I felt that that was enough. And I did have to play the 1 BLS link. So the reason I played the BLS link, if you look that there's several monsters that are level 7 or higher, being able to actually get this monster out with this effect is insane. Most decks struggle against it, especially Salamangreat and Striker. So you guys know how much I love this card. This is one of my favorite link monsters ever printed. So huge fan for that. And lastly, I've got the Boral Sword, because this card is game. This is usually how we steal a lot of games if we're not doing a bunch of Mekk. We do a bunch of Mekk Knight things, a bunch of Alistair things. Then when we simplify the game state, we just go like that, and then we just kill our opponent, because we have that in Mekkaba, and that's game. So card's pretty nice. And then the last card I'm testing out. Now this was the hardest thing. So I got to 14 cards, and then the 15th card, there were so many different cards I wanted to try. And at the last second, I decided to try Dingirsu. And the reason is, if you look at the deck, we do have those weird situations where we do have purple and we do have Eclipse coming back, and we can sometimes just hard make this, because what do you know, they're level 8, so you can do that. But the main reason, you guys should already know this, is if we mind control a Galatea, well, what do you know? We just make a Dingirsu on top of it, and we just send another card away, and it was completely free and absolutely insane. So I'm actually a huge fan of that, and that's why I wanted to keep testing this card out. It was something I hadn't played in my previous list, but I thought that out of all the cards I could play, this was just definitely one of the best ones. So yeah, so that's what I decided for the 15th card in the deck. So yeah, that's it, you guys. That is the deck. This is, again, just version 1. I'd like to know your personal thoughts. Any changes, any suggestions, I'd really like to hear. There's been a lot of talk about like playing Dangers in the deck, playing Vishuda in the deck, and that's something I could definitely be open to. I think that decks like versions of the deck like that are actually really nice. They play through a lot of negates, they do a lot of cool things, and I really do like that. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts. If you guys want to build this deck, all these cards are available on tcgplayer.com. You guys can use my affiliate link, it's in the description below. A portion of what you guys spend goes back to the channel. It helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. Mekk Knight Invoked, you guys. I say it every time I profile it. It's a deck that I absolutely love to death. Close to my heart, just like Thunder. And something I'm always going to keep profiling. I'm always going to keep playing until the deck somehow utterly dies. And I just don't think this deck will ever truly die. I don't think they're going to do anything about Alistair or cards like this. Because, I mean, let's face it. This isn't a deck that wins a YCS, but this is a deck that can top a YCS. This is a deck that can top regionals and events. And it's just a really fun deck to play. I'm telling you right now, if you play this deck, you'll see what I mean. It's super fun to play, and I love it. But yeah, those are my thoughts. This is version 1. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on the deck and any suggestions in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.